The Pruitt Igoe housing project was an urban housing development built in St. Louis, Missouri in the 1950s. It was designed to provide affordable housing to working-class families and create a utopian community. However, the project failed to achieve its goals and became a symbol of urban decay and social engineering gone wrong. In this video, we will explore the history of the Pruitt Igoe project, including the policies and social context that led to its creation, the architectural design of the buildings, and the factors that contributed to its eventual decline and demolition. This project was built during the height of modernism, which was marked by a strong emphasis on efficiency, functionality, and mass production. This single enormous project began with the clearing of the Sotocard, considered one of the least habitable neighborhoods in St. Louis. In its place was to be built a collection of 33 modular 11-story apartment towers designed by Minoru Yamasaki. The project was intended to house up to 10,000 residents in its 2,800 apartment units. The design of the project drew inspiration from Le Corbusier's Ville Radieuse concept, with its residential towers set amidst large and open plazas. The towers themselves, however, were more similar to Le Corbusier's later Unité d'Habitation project, featuring long, narrow slab structures with window galleries running like 9 feet long their length, and even before it was completed, Pruitt Igoe was not built as intended. Yamasaki had proposed a number of design elements which were never built, like low-rise units dispersed among their larger counterparts, playground, ground floor restaurants, and additional landscaping were all deemed too expensive by the Federal Housing Administration and cut from the project. And it was this constant emphasis on economy that dictated features like the skip-stop elevators and which only hinted at the troubled times ahead. And one of the most significant issues with the design was the lack of communal spaces. The architects envisioned that residents would gather in the courtyard and on the long straight walkways that connected the buildings. However, these spaces quickly became sites of crime, violence, making them so inhospitable for residents. Additionally, the design of the buildings themselves made it difficult for residents to feel a sense of community. The tall towers and long walkways created a sense of anonymity and isolation, which made it difficult for residents to get to know their neighbors and build a sense of community. The buildings were also poorly constructed with cheap materials and shoddy workmanship. This meant that they quickly fell into disrepair with leaky roofs, broken windows, and malfunctioning plumbing. These maintenance issues contributed to the sense of decay and neglect that pervaded the project. The Pruitt Igoe housing project was built during a time of significant social and political change in the U.S. The project was part of a larger movement to provide affordable housing for low-income families in urban areas, which had become overcrowded and run down in the years following World War II. And at the same time, the civil rights movement was gaining momentum in the US, with the activists calling for an end to racial segregation and discrimination. The construction of Pruitt Igoe was viewed as a way to provide housing for Black residents in St. Louis, who had long been subjected to housing discrimination and were often forced to live in substandard conditions. And it's worth noting that Pruitt Igoe was initially designed to be a mixed-income housing development, but due to discriminatory practices and policies at the time, it ultimately became a predominantly Black community. And overall, the negative consequences of the urban renewal program and how it contributed to the displacement of Black people from their homes and communities. Racism played a significant role in the creation and eventual failure of the Pruitt Igoe housing project, as it was part of a broader system of discrimination and segregation that made it difficult for Black people to access quality housing and other resources in St. Louis. Despite the failure of Pruitt Igoe, many similar public housing projects were built around the world in the following years, with varying degrees of success. While some were able to avoid the pitfall that led to the Pruitt Igoe's demise, many faced similar challenges and ultimately suffered a similar fate. The reasons for this was that many architects and policymakers failed to learn the lessons of Pruitt Igoe's failure. Instead, they continued to view modernist high-rise public housing as a solution to the problems of urban poverty and overcrowding, without fully considering the complex social and economic factors that led to the failure of Pruitt Igoe and other similar projects.